Hello again, my name's Rick and this is the second part of making a slab bowl. In part 1 we rolled out the slab and got that ready, and now in this part we'll actually make the bowl itself. Now what I have here is the turntable I use to work on. I found it in a garbage bin. It was used in a jeweller's shop for their displays, but I find it's good for this because it's nice and strong. What I've done is levelled it up now, both ways, and I put my mould on top. Now this is just half a sphere, and what I've done is actually divided it into quarters, and I have lines that I put on the wheel at exactly the same distance down from there, and that allows me to orientate the slab on that mould. Now just to make sure that it is going to release a lot easier, I just add a little bit of powder to the top, just where the slab is going to sit. Just brush that off, I don't want too much. Right, now what I do is, because this clay is very stiff, I can actually just lay it on top. So you can see now the lines come in handy because I put the points along the lines, and that line around here allows me to make sure that I've got it evenly. Then I start just easing the clay down to that shape. Push it down. So now I can begin to get a little bit more stronger with it. Again, I keep an eye on it to make sure that the points are pretty much along the lines, and they're even all the way around. So now you can start to see it's getting to be that bowl shape. Sponge that I've pretty much, it hasn't got that much water in, I've squeezed it out. So now what I do is I hold the corner that I'm scraping towards so that it will stay there, and now I can be quite heavy with it. So I put all those fingerprints and where I've hit it, so now I begin to get them out. So I want a smooth outside. I've made ones where I've actually textured the outside with a piece of wood or any sort of paddle that's got texture on it. Now what I tried to do is not always go in the same direction, so now I'll get the rib back again. So I'm not actually scraping the clay, I'm just pushing it back in, using the rib at quite an angle. Now I like to put 4 feet on these, so what I use is just a pencil just to give me the clean up those marks. 4 feet for the bowl. I use much softer clay. What I do is just knead it a little bit to get it even. And then just make a coil, and because I want 4 reasonably even feet, I can cut 4 pieces the same size. Okay, so let's put them on. Now I don't bother to score at all, I just make them into a bit of slip. And this is slip made with just dry clay, a bit of water and Dispex, so mainly from throwing slops. But I have also made it from just dry clay and vinegar, and that works well. Now I'm just tacking these on for a start, and then I can move them around before I fix them properly. Okay, that looks okay. So what then I use is a little clay stamp that I've made. What I do is then push the clay in. Right, and I also put my little seal on at the same time. That again is a stamp I've made myself. This is just a bit of fibro cement. So what I can do is just push it down a little bit, just to flatten the piece. Get my level back. And just use my level. Just to make sure that that's sitting level. Now what I want to do is just to dry the surface of that out so it'll hold its shape when I take it off. So what I use is just a heat gun. Okay, I didn't want to dry it too much, just enough so that now it feels dry, a little bit dry on the outside. And what I'm doing is just making sure that it releases. So now it's loose on there, and I've got to take it off straight away before it starts drying and shrinking. Now so I can take that off without distorting, I can put packaging tape over it now. So clay now is firmly attached to the mould, it's not going to come off, and I don't have to be that particular now. So what I can do, just take that off there, put that back on there, and now I can turn that upside down and it's not going to fall off, and there's no great hurry, and I'll put it down very gently. So what I do now is just peel back the tape. So now the pot can be set aside on the bat, and it won't be touched now until it's dry. This one has dried, so it's a simple thing to just take off the saddle, the harness. What I usually do is just peel the paper away from the edges. Not worried about the paper that stays on in the middle, because that'll burn out in the bisque firing. Now I just go over the sides with this plane. It's a blade that I bought, and so all it does just smooths out the edges. Now it's back to my wet, moist sponge, and I can just smooth out the sides and just soften the edges. And there we are, we've got a square bowl.